Sup people, it's your boy Slide. In this video, I'm going to talk about the quality of life in the United States. Living in America today has been a very difficult thing for the average American. When it came to like the hardworking middle class and everything, they had the values of working hard will pay off and you will be successful if you work hard at it. Not anymore, okay? In the United States today, it's not like that no more. You working hard doesn't guarantee success at all, okay? It doesn't guarantee success at all. And that's where we get trapped in the cycle. You know what I mean? Because we believe working hard will pay off, but it doesn't. You know, there's some people today who are working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. They work harder than most. Doesn't mean it's going to pay off at the end of the day, though. You see, a lot of people have this misconception of what success really is. And we get different definitions, then we get confused on what we really want. Living in the United States today has been a terrible, terrible situation for many of us, because you work hard doesn't mean anything. Like, you have some people out here who spend most of their time working just to make ends meet because they're afraid of being alone, or they're afraid of losing their car from being repossessed, afraid of losing their apartment and all that other stuff, right? So they end up working, 2 jobs. And what if you hear somebody working 2 jobs, most of the time they're working 1 full-time job, 40 hours a week, and 1 part-time job, 20 hours a week. So it's a hard thing to balance. It's hard to balance, And since many of us are trying to make ends meet, we sacrifice our free time. We don't have any free time to socialize no more. We don't have time to hang out with people. We don't have time to do anything, And to many working class people, right, a lot of people spend their free time working overtime because they can make more money at work than having a day to rest. That's their mentality. And they don't understand that resting your body is more important than money, because the money you make can't give you, a peace of mind. It can't give you it can't give you happiness, depending on what you're looking for. So we get deceived on what money can do for us. They say money can bring happiness, but guess what? A lot of people spend their free time working, and it's like, it's a lot of hours to work, But the quality of life in the U.S. is so hard to attain to, because we, as a community or a culture, we are now individuals. There are more people in the U.S. today who live alone than before. Even parts of Canada, okay? A study I read that even the Canadians have a huge percentage of living alone than before, okay? There's something about the U.S. and the American culture today that people live alone, and most of the time it's not by choice. Most of the time it's not by choice, okay? So you have to really understand that living in the United States today is hard. Like, just to live in the US today, if you want to live in a decent neighborhood, as in terms of like good infrastructure, low crime, you're looking at least $1,300 a month in any major city. Where I live, we have Amazon in the Seattle area, as well as Microsoft, we have Boeing, Expedia, and other companies here. The cost of living is high. If you don't eat, even trying to eat good food is expensive out here. But just to go on the rent factor alone, you need $1,300 a month. Okay? After that, if you want to buy a house, you're looking at least $500,000. Yeah, $500,000. So if you buy a house worth $500,000 over a 10-year mortgage, you have to pay a minimum of $50,000 a year. Okay? $50,000 a year. So basically, the average American cannot afford that. Okay? Because most of these are real estate agents or these realtors, unless you give them a good profession that you're doing, they're not going to sell you a house, regardless. They don't care about your credit score. They don't care about none. If you don't have a job or you don't have a high level income, they're not going to sell you their house. Period. They don't care about the interest rates. They don't care. Nah. If they know you cannot pay, they're not messing with you. Even when it comes to apartments, if you don't have a good job, many of them won't rent you anything. They won't rent you anything. So, and even to rent an apartment today, you have to have 3 times the rent. Let me give you an example. If you want to rent an apartment and the rent of the apartment is $1,300, right? The apartment complex wants to make sure that they want to make sure that your income is about $4,000. Because they want to make sure that you can pay the rent. They don't want no uncertainty like, I may pay this week, I may not pay. They don't want to hear that at all. You know? A lot of people today are working 2 jobs just to make ends meet, and it's hard. It's hard right now. You know? It's really hard out here. So, that's why I say to you, like, that's why a lot of people today are angry. The average American you see today is angry. They're furious. Many Americans you see today can't even pretend to be happy. Because you're working for 8 hours a day at a job they don't like. This is for the middle to lower class, okay? You're working a job you don't like for 8 hours a day, knowing that you can be fired for anything. You know what I mean? That can make anyone go crazy, okay? They hate their jobs. They're depressed because they feel life should be different, but it's not. Then they are a ticking time bomb. You say one thing, you say the wrong thing to somebody, and they will explode because they are so frustrated. You see what I mean? So that's why a lot of people here are upset, because the average American you see, they have the largest student loan debt, and student loan debt is unforgivable. They're not going to forgive you your debt. It's impossible. They will not forgive you. And what I mean by that is that you cannot file bankruptcy on student loans. And some people have student loan debt over like 30, 40 grand. And some people say, I'm not going to pay it off. And I'm like, If you don't pay it off, they will have your wages garnished. Okay? After that, they will take away your social security benefits. They'll have that garnished. If you're disabled, in some cases, they may garnish your disability until they get their money back. So now your money from your paycheck is now going to decrease. So you have to understand why things are the way they are sometimes, you know? So that's why I say the average American here is frustrated. Like, if you go to like other parts of the world, like when you go to like Eastern Europe, for example, like Czech Republic or Poland, okay? I don't know how things are done over there exactly, but I know the quality of life is really, really cheap compared to the US. Like, the reason why the average American today is in debt is because they have student loan debt for going to college, and they have their mortgage. They thought they could pay it off, but they couldn't. So the house got foreclosed on, or they had to sell it. When that shit happens, it's like these companies will get their money back. But in other countries, they don't have student loan debt, because going to school in Czech Republic, it's not that expensive compared to the U.S. I think also in Germany, I think also in some Asian countries, going to university is free. Literally, it's free. So you don't have debt over your head. So if you want to buy a house, you can buy a house. And also, in some of these other countries you go to, when you do buy a house, it's yours. In a sense where you don't pay a property tax in some countries. You don't pay property tax. So if you buy land, it's your land. You buy a house, it's your house. That's the difference between the US and other countries. You see what I mean? So that's why you don't see many people moving around in the other country, because they bought this house, it's their house. They would never have to move. US, you don't pay your property tax, it can be taken away from you. You don't pay your mortgage, they don't sit there and say, how can we help you? No. They give you 2 or 3 times, you're late. But within the time frame, if you're late 2 or 3 times, they'll say, F it, you know what? We are done with this. We are going to sell this house. They're not playing around, you know? And so that's why a lot of people today are frustrated out here, because the quality of life is hard. Now you have people who are now in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They are now forced to work. You know why? Because they didn't do any savings. They had no savings, you know? And it's now one of those things where they should be ready for retirement, but they have no money in their savings account. So they now are forced to work. Do you not see do you not see what I'm talking about right now? Now they're forced to work. By the time they get to that certain age, they should be resting, they should be relaxing, they should be chilling. Nope. Now they're forced to work. You know? So this is what's going on in the United States. That's why when I tell you guys, like, the average, like, European or the average, like, person living out in America, they're happier because they don't have debt. They don't have debt. They don't have a huge work ethic. In many of these cultures, they focus on family. Family comes first. That's it. Family comes first. They will work their 40 hours and they go home. You don't hear much overtime. I'm going to spend time with my kids. I'm going to spend time with my wife. I'll spend time with my girlfriend. But in America, it's not like that. In America, you're lucky. Like, you're lucky if you even find overtime in your job. You know? At your job, sometimes you're even lucky to find overtime because so many people want overtime to make extra money. So, depending on depending on what kind of job you have, people are trying to fight to get it overtime. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where you sit there confused and frustrated. Like, okay, what am I going to do to get extra money? You know? So it's just one of those things, man. It's one of those things where you just have to look at things differently, you know? But yeah, man, that's life in the United States today. So it's hard out here. It's hard, but hey, every man for himself, right? Let me know what you think. Peace.